Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe, share, all of that. But yeah, this is an interesting day because we, of course, we're coming into the festive period. We've got Christmas Eve tomorrow and Christmas day after. So we are seeing movement, to be honest, which is again one thing I do like to go through and explain in the market is that just because we do have the festive period doesn't always mean volume. Well, volume does drop, but doesn't necessarily mean we don't move. That's not necessarily the right correlation. So we can still see movement, but as always, got a bunch of markets to get through, see what's happening, especially as we come to a close for 2026, 2025, and then we kind of see what's going on in 2026 and see where potentially the market is positioned for a lot of the macro side of things and where we could be looking for trends, big moves, and potentially from a swing perspective, where could we look to position ourselves? And of course, any requests, any pairs you're looking at, drop it in the chat. We can definitely discuss. But we'll start with the dollar, which for me is looking, well, I would imagine for everyone is looking very, very bearish today. We have a strong push down. Of course, the day is still young. We could still see something different by the end of the day, but the market does look very, very bearish. So again, the questions I'm asking myself here with the dollar is where's the next area that buyers can find value? Where's the next area that buyers can potentially come into the market to hold strength? Well, to me, that looks like 96.5. It looks like the level down here. Price has been bouncing around this area a few times, but especially this point and that point, and did drive quite some distinct moves higher. So naturally, there's going to be a lot of buyers sitting at this area. And if price was to return there, we could see them enter. But importantly, there is a bit of a gap to fill because we do have minor structure on our left here, which isn't really doing the job. So we can see buyers are predominantly quite weak. Sellers are doing their part, which is why we're maintaining these lower highs. And momentum is still with the bears. For this move to not take place, buyers have to come in and we have to see price flip. We have to start breaking through structure, taking out this high, and now invalidate this realization for a push into support. As long as these highs stay intact and momentum stays with the bears, we are very likely to eventually push to 96.5, which would imply more dollar weakness, therefore dollar crosses, more upside, most likely if that remains true. So looking at the DXY, looking at where potentially price could fulfill, where buyers are weak, where buyers are strong, where sellers are weak and where sellers are strong. Sellers are strong in these areas. Why? Because lower highs are still being maintained and price is still breaking through lows. Therefore, they're strong. Where are buyers weak? To our left here, because support is just not doing its job. Where buyers strong? Down here. So you've got strong sellers, strong buyers. That's your kind of gap you're looking to fill. And 96.5 resonates the most. Not a certainty, but a likely. So because of that, USD looks pretty weak. Expect more downside. What's up, Lorraine? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. So because of that, USD weakness looks like the predominant play. Looking at pound USD, it looks like we're getting the inverse of that. I did say I'm keeping a close eye on this area, which looks like it's failing. Again, I want to see how today closes as well, but it looks like it's failing. And of course, that does mimic the USD analysis we just spoke about. USD is looking predominantly weak. Buyers not doing their job. Sellers not doing their job here for pound. So where are the strong sellers? Well, at this high and at this high. This high more in particular. So that could be where pound USD is going to be drifting towards. So from post, well, as we come to a close for December into Jan, that's kind of the swing we're looking to see if we can participate in. Initially, I was pretty bearish, and this is why it's important to be reactionary to the market and frequently asking yourself questions to invalidate your bias. And we can discuss that a bit more detail today. To invalidate your bias, because everyone comes into the market with a bias being bullish or bearish. I actually did a post on this on the community tab. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you go do so. But I did a post speaking about being bullish, about being bearish, what the implications of that and what the disadvantages of that as well. The main disadvantage is that when you are bullish or bearish, you will always, 99% of the time, look for things to reconfirm that bias. You say, okay, the market's bearish. We're seeing lower highs. We're seeing this really strong bearish engulfing candle, maybe trend down in the higher time frame, maybe broke through a certain level, which are all valid, but they all just reconfirm what you already know. So technically, you're not really finding any more information to help support your ideas. The correct way to analyze that is to actually look at the opposing bias. Why are buyers failing, and where could buyers potentially regroup to find strength? If you can disprove the other side of the coin, well, then it only leaves your side of the coin. So when I was looking at pound USD initially, I was looking for a pullback and more downside there, but we never really saw that mature. Price didn't really show respect to these areas which I was looking for price to do. And now it looks like price is breaking through. Of course, like I said, I'll still wait for a bit more clarity because this candle can still pull back and close bearish and things change. So the reacting to price is important. But the key question is the merit of me looking for sales still true? And is price unlikely to do the opposite of what I'm expecting? The answer is no. So because of that, I become neutral or potentially flip to the other side of the coin if price is now proven to me that we can't go the other way. So with pound, I said either we're looking for a push to this low or this low. Eventually, price is going to get to one of those areas, and it's about disproving the other swing. And if you can disprove the other swing, then that leaves your swing left, and vice versa. Like I said, a lot of people will have a bias of why price should do this, and then they just look for everything to support that idea. Worst way to analyze and to trade, especially as a discretionary trader. So yeah, pound USD looks like we're flipping. Euro's already quite bullish. There is a lot of resistance above us, but it looks like the market trend is just slowly drifting to the upside. The market has been incredibly flat for quite a while. We haven't seen any progression, but it looks like momentum's picked up. Again, still maintaining higher lows. Next big level would be up there. Price could potentially push back into resistance. We do have a lot of weekly resistance here as well. So I'm not expecting anything crazy until I see some real sustained price action breaking through this. Then that will show us, okay, buyers are truly in play. And next major area of resistance supply, you're probably looking higher up at those prices, 1.22. So it could be a lot of upside for the euro, for the USD pairs. And there could be a lot of downside for DXY, because if you approach 96.5 and fail, well, where's our next area? Probably some prices around 95. You could even argue potentially a push to this low. So there is a lot of downside for USD if this fails, and as a result, there's upside for the USD pairs. And that's kind of really what my take is going into 2026. If we're looking at support failing, we could be seeing a lot more downside. I'm looking at 94, 93 for the dollar. That means upside for pound, upside for euro, upside for Aussie. And that's going to be the play, especially from a swing bias going into 2026 and looking to take advantage of the dips. Of course, things can change as well. So, that's not a certainty. Things can change if new information come into the market, and that could disprove that bias. And of course, I'd have to change too. But that's kind of where I'm looking at. In regards to the yen pairs, well, things have been super, super bullish. We've seen some downside today. We didn't really progress yesterday. Monday was like a doji for a lot of the yen pairs, or slightly bullish or slightly bearish. Very, very small. Not a lot of trading happened yesterday, but today we're seeing a bit of a drop lower. Again, is this significance, or is this just a bit of noise? Is price still very bullish, and the trend's still intact? Well, looking at all the yen pairs, that's still the case. The trend's still intact. This bearish move is still just noise. The only one I would be a bit uncertain with, or cautious with, would be dollar yen, because all the other yen pairs, Swiss yen, pound yen, New Zealand yen, CAD yen, Aussie yen, and Euro yen, well, Aussie yen not quite, it did make a new high today. All those yen pairs made new highs upon the news we had last week. We had the news, price shot to the upside. All those yen pairs made new highs. The only one that didn't, well, at least till now anyway, is dollar yen. Dollar yen came back to resistance, closed back below, and is rejecting pretty strongly against. And of course, USD, as we just saw, is pretty weak at the moment as well. So what does that tell you? It tells you where every other yen pair is in a very bullish state. If you're looking for pullback opportunities, that's where you want to focus. But in terms of dollar yen, because we're failing to accept new highs, that means buys are not as strong as they perceive to be. This trend was very strong, buyers very much in control. Now there's new evidence to say that they're weakening. Price is starting to find value at this price here. buyers are not really persisting above here. Before, buyers were happy to keep, taking price higher. Now they're not so happy to do that. Of course, again, that's always going to be a theme in trading. Prices in consolidation till it's not anymore. But at the current moment, the current state, we're failing to break high. So is there sense, is there logic looking to take a buy here back up again? No, not really, because you're trading inside the middle of a range. You've already got proof to you that even despite strong bullish pressure, we're failing to break highs. And then you're trying to take the continuation swing off that. You're fighting fire with fire here. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a high probability move. It's a very optional move. Price might see a swing, it might not. So it's a best guess. It's a best guess. Really is what you're trading here. In terms of the range, we've got lows here. Actually, I can actually drag that up a bit higher there because this is where the support formed. So you can see where all the wicks have collected, and this is where price tried to break through but redeemed. So you've got your range there, you've got your balance there. So buyers and sellers are having the time of their life in this area. And until we get a breakout either side, price is more than happy to stay within this area. So what does that tell you? That tells you if you're looking for any trading opportunity in here, it needs to be very, very short term or not at all. Probably not at all, because your edge by default is going to be very slim, especially in a market which is very balanced like FX markets usually are. If you're trying to trade within balance, you're just looking for incremental changes in price. And as a retail trader, most of this price action is just noise. So you're really reacting to noise and trying to derive meaning from noise. And that's a flaw in itself. So I would highly, highly advise to look at that area and ask yourself, is there real opportunity here? Is there opportunity worth a trade? That's a good question to ask. If there's no opportunity worth a trade, then simply you refrain from trading. And I think that will be a very, well, especially as more information becomes more available, more trading happens, more AI comes to the markets, not trading will just be as important as your edge itself, as trading. A lot of people will have some really good trades, and all the bad trades is what makes their edge zero or negative. If you can just take the good trades and not take the bad trades, by default, you have a good trading strategy. Anyway, I digress. So we've got a range here for dollar yen. So what would the next information we need to see for opportunity to come into the market? Well, from a bearish perspective, we need to see price fail here. And we need to see it fail pretty aggressively. Not like we dip below slightly or some wicks form, because price can recover that. We've already seen evidence of that happening. You can see we closed below, came back above. So a closure below doesn't mean much. It's just a bit of noise. Price is testing lows again, finds support, pushes back up. If we break through with strength and start to take out these lows, that's significant. At that point, I want to be looking for pullbacks and more downside. From a bullish perspective, we need to start breaking through highs again. And all that means is that the trend is back alive. We do have to be careful because there is resistance just above our heads over here, which is like 158.4. So there's not a lot of room to the next big level. So again, is the buys worth the risk, worth the trade? Well, probably not. If we're buying in a trend, which makes sense, but we're trending directly into value, major value, it's not like a slight level. This is a serious level that causes a serious trend. Do I really want to be following momentum into those highs? Not that price can't break through, it can, but again, I'm betting on a hopeful wish that price does break through. There's nothing in the market here to tell me that price is likely to break through or has to break through. It's a best guess at best. So again, from a bullish perspective, upside capped. If we break through, there is room to the next level here, and that becomes a bit more meaningful. This is just a bigger gap to trade, more opportunity. So absolutely, if you can break through this level, the buys make more sense from a trending perspective back to the next area of value. But from a seller's perspective, the next major area of value, I would say, is probably this cluster here, where you can see price consolidated for a while and then pushed up. The reason why this is a strong area of value is because buyers and sellers found an equilibrium here. They were happy to operate here for a long period of time. And then as a result, we had a massive shift to the upside, a lot of momentum, big surge of price action. So this is a meaningful area. And of course, this is a meaningful area as well. Why? Because it started this whole move. So if this area fails, if some of these levels fail, well, I expect price to move towards value, this area or this area. And then that becomes opportunity because I can sell towards that, or if price holds well, I can buy away from it too. And I've got room to trade in. As we spoke about with the buys, there's no room to the upside, at least to the first level. There is room to the downside. So yeah, I like what I'm seeing with dollar yen. But again, time will tell. It's all about the breakout, and that will give us opportunities. Whereas if you're looking at the other yen pairs like pound yen, trend is still very healthy here. So there's nothing to do apart from looking for buying the dips. Again, when price is in this sort of condition, the only trade that really makes sense at a mechanical level because of how the market is functioning right now is looking for price to pull back into value, hold value, and then continue back to highs until this trade is proven false or not valid any longer. So price starting to break structure, then yes, we'll look to shift in terms of approach. But at the moment, momentum is still very solid. We're still seeing higher highs and higher lows. I would still be looking for more upside, even despite the fact that we're breaking through key resistance to our left. Momentum is still holding up very well. For us to change that perspective, we need to start breaking through key support here. If price does break through key support, again, doesn't necessarily mean we are we're bearish, because breaking through this low does not invalidate a multi-year trend. Breaking through that low doesn't invalidate this whole situation. What will invalidate the whole situation would be a change in the context of why pound yen is being heavily bought. So the carry trade is a big reason. There's other reasons to it, which, to be honest, I'm not really too bothered about. The only thing I know really about why pound yen has bought a lot of the yuan pairs is mainly the carry trade. Of course, there's some other policies why pound's a bit more attractive to the yen, but the main reason is the carry trade, the differential in interest rates. So because of that, unless that changes or there's a reason why market participants see a change in that, then there will be a trend in the opposite direction, or price will start to correct itself. A break of minor structure here is just price having deeper correction before continuing. So at a fundamental level, this trend is still very much intact, even if some minor structure there goes. It just means we'll have a deeper pullback to a more meaningful area to find support, which I would suggest is probably this range here. Big range, start the next big move. If this fails, well, where's next area? 204. And we'll see how price negotiates around there. But yeah, that's how you want to be looking at most of the yen pairs, apart from dollar yen, because dollar yen's a bit of a range, maybe even Aussie yen too. I mean, Aussie yen just about saw new highs, so you can have a pretty comfortable bullish outlook there. But dollar yen struggling at highs, not the best one. Swiss, pound, New Zealand, CAD, Euro, Aussie still trending very, very well and looking very, very strong. Hey, what's up, Tony Gold? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. No worries, man. No need to apologize. Happy holidays to you as well. Of course, to everyone who celebrates too. Yeah, it is it's the 23rd, only a couple of days left of Christmas. So again, I'm expecting things to be winding down. Activity not be at peak. We can still see moves, as you can still see the market still moving. Just less volume. That's all it is. And again, these are currencies that are traded all around the world. It's not like, okay, the holidays are here, no one's going to transact between euro and the yen. Of course, that'll still be the case, but just less, of course. So post Christmas, post New Year's as well, volume will start to increase naturally. Again, markets will still move in between, but volume will naturally increase. But anywho, yen pairs still very bullish, looking like we're seeing some corrections for them. The only one I'll be very skeptical with is, like I said, is dollar yen. So patience there. USD pairs looking very, very well. USD itself looking very, very weak at the moment. I'm not seeing any critical levels of support to change that on the way down. So I'm looking at 96.5 as an area where price could be drawn towards. And as a result, that could flip a lot of these these USD pairs which have been declining, especially pound up, Aussie dollar's been flat. That could be looking for a breakout. Euro relatively flat. That could be looking for a breakout. New Zealand dollar as well. That's been very, very bearish, but perhaps a bullish trend forms back to value. So a lot of things are shifting at the moment with USD. At the moment, yen pairs haven't shifted, still the same. Crosses, I'm kind of leaving, to be honest. I am sensing a shift there. Aussie New Zealand dollar, I still think this can shift lower. You can see where we're trading from a monthly perspective. Look what happened last month. Massive wick to the upside. We'll pull back down above this high. Again, ask yourself the necessary questions here. Who's imbalanced? Who can sustain prices? Who can't sustain prices? Where does price need to retrace to find adequate buyers again or adequate sellers? Well, at this area, sellers are happy to operate. We're seeing a lot of value. Why? Price gets here, dumps. Price here, dumps. Price here, dumps. Sellers are loving this, loving this price. Buyers not loving this price. Why? Because we're seeing a lot of bullish pressure, but we reverse. A lot of bullish pressure, reverse, bullish pressure, reverse, and of course, effectively that's how a range forms. An area where buyers can't sustain, an area where sellers can't sustain. Everyone's happy in the middle. So you got your high, you got your low of the range, and then you got your equilibrium where people are happy to buy and sell. Of course, you got the range there as a consequence visually. So if price is trading at the upper end of the range, well, again, I'll ask the same question: can buyers maintain this, or do they fall short again, and sellers are still happy to interact and see a push down? Well, so far, this candle has already given us a strong piece of information. Price tried to see new highs there, couldn't sustain it. We pull back, close bearish. Again, one candle is just one candle. Preferably, if we can have 2-3 candles telling the same story, adds strength to the bias, adds strength to the information we're seeing. But it is definitely a very strong indication because, of course, on the contrary, you could have had a candle that closed up here, and that is a big meaning as well. It means buyers are finally finding success up there. Perhaps we do see a breakout. At the moment, not the case. So I am looking to see if Aussie New Zealand dollar can still roll back over, still respecting resistance here. This to me is a bearish state here. Unless we see a strong close this month, which closes in 8 days, then of course things change. But what is the implication? Because this is what the trading opportunity is. It's okay, price is pushed to an area where it's out of balance. Someone's exposed, someone can't sustain a price. Because of that, price then rebalances. And it's that rebalancing, it's that rotation back to support, back to resistance, which is then the tradable opportunity. So you have to ask yourself, okay, what's the consequence of this? Well, if buyers want to rebalance and find value again, well, they would have to come back to these areas. So therefore, you've got a trade opportunity from here to there. And of course, this is a monthly chart, so it's a pretty meaningful trade, actually. Again, doesn't mean you have to trade the whole swing, but you've got a nice scope, you've got a nice target to work with. So that's why I do think there's opportunity here from Aussie New Zealand dollar, especially if you can start to show some real momentum, because we did see a strong break here, but then price is flat. We need to see price really push down. And what's up, replay? Welcome to the stream. And also one point I want to make as well is time. Time is very, very important too. Because despite the candle rejection we had on the monthly chart, which of course shows buyers not really doing their job here, falling off, sellers coming in very strong. However, if we do spend more time here, so more candles start printing at this price, that then is in favor of buyers. Why? Because if buyers really truly can't sustain price here, then we are likely to roll over pretty quickly. When the market rebalances itself, it's a very fast move. Here you can see price pushed up. It was very out of balance. We came down with a lot of aggression. If price spends time in an area, well, that very nature causes consolidation. That very nature causes balance, because buyers and sellers can agree on a price there. So if buyers and sellers can start to agree on a price here, that means buyers are happy to hold up here, which then increases the chance of a breakout higher. The very nature of price of buyers not happy to hold here gives us a move down. So it's important that this move happens pretty quickly. The quicker it happens, the higher probability to move, the more that we see price even swing potentially to the lower end of the range as well. If we do spend some time up here, we see consecutive monthly candle closes here, not necessarily breaking out momentum, not necessarily closing in with strength, just fluctuating here. That bodes well for the buyers and implies breakout, which is sort of what we're seeing on the lower time frames. You can see we're getting a range here. So again, more time we're spending here, not good for the sellers, more positive for the buyers. Of course, things can change quickly. We still might see price progress really quickly on a day or two, and that changes everything. But if we look at the prior retest of the range here, look what happened on the daily chart. We had to run higher, the price consolidate for a few days, and then boom, we're gone. And that means opportunity. The pullbacks were nice and sharp, giving you some nice clean opportunities to take advantage of that imbalance as price corrects itself. Here, was starting to build some time here. It's not enough for me to say categorically it's a strong range. I'm expecting continuation. It's just hinting at it. If I see next few days we show some real strength through, then yeah, we're back to selling, and there's a lot of downside to cover. So we'll see how that does develop. And again, that's how real breakouts happen. Price finds value outside the range, because in the middle is where we have value. This is where value is persistent, in the middle of the range. Value is not persistent up here, which is why we see sharp reactions back down. If price does start to range and start to accumulate here, well, we're finding new balance. So a previous area where we couldn't sustain is now being sustained. Therefore, price can still push higher. So time is something to keep an eye out. Very, very important. Very, very important if you're trading, if you're looking for reversals as well. Of course, price will eventually break out of that, but that's a very important aspect to look into. So with the crosses, I'm just keeping an eye, especially like you got markets like USD, which again, we've had some really nice trends to the upside, and price is consistent. And this is a nice example actually of the time reference I just mentioned. You can see what happened here was price had a ginormous move to the upside. So price is out of balance quite clearly. Buyers can't sustain price up there. Sellers come into the market. We come in very sharply back down. But then what does happen? Price starts to consolidate. So buyers and sellers agree with each other. Therefore, we are kind of now agreeing that price is optimal. So when we have our next move, now it's not as violent as this. This is very violent. Price can't tolerate that. Now this is slow, so buyers can migrate with price. Value can go up with price. Hence the trend is still sustainable. And even in this situation, price pushed up, still maintaining value, which is why we're not flying back down aggressively like we did here. So if the buyers really can't sustain, we need to see structure start to break now. We can still find support and continue. So as of right now, trend is still intact. It is weakening, don't get me wrong. We're not seeing price create highs like we were before, and we are seeing more aggressive selling pressure kick in. So those are just hints, but nothing changed aggressively. LFTJ, yes, we can take a look at dollar CAD. You're spending Christmas in Rwanda? Yes, I am. I am going to be spending, actually will be my second time spending Christmas in Rwanda. I spent Christmas here in 2022 or 2023. Yeah, 2022, I think. So yeah, will be my second one. Anyway, we'll take a look at dollar CAD. So yeah, dollar CAD looking very bearish. This one didn't pull back. Very, very unhappy with dollar CAD. Because I said once we had this strong displacement here, the shorts look really good. I talked about a pullback into structure, finding value, and then rolling over. Haven't seen that. We had a slight up move as price coming to support, but looks like sellers are just in control. Of course, we had a look at the DXY, and that shows that sellers are just in control. So again, where's the next piece of it? Where's the next area which dollar CAD can find adequate support from buyers? Because clearly buyers are not doing their job. This was adequate support before. Why? We tested it 3 times and we saw a really big reaction to the upside. Clearly a lot of buying pressure came in there. Not anymore. That's not the case, or at least sellers are more dominant now. We still might have seen adequate buying pressure, but not enough. So because of that, where's the next area? Well, it will be 1.3562. So I do like the opportunity for more downside. Originally looking for a pullback to structure here. It looks like that's not the case anymore. So where is the case? Well, this area is now going to be an important piece of structure. You push down back into value. That's your trade back into lows. So you can see we're trading for the recovery of one category of participants, which is not necessarily we're shorting because the market is bearish. We're shorting because buyers can't sustain price here and they need to rebalance at more concrete, more significant areas of value, Where's the more significant area of value? This area here. So because of that, this move is quite important. It's quite significant. We're not just shorting because the market's falling. We're shorting because a group of participants need to regroup, which is an important shift because the market can be bearish or bullish, but it might not have meaning to it. This definitely has meaning to it. So again, we'll see how the daily candle closes because price is still fresh, still live. We could still very much pull back up and leave a big wick here. This support could still technically be in play because we haven't actually seen a closure below this support. You can see support held there again. Today we're testing the level. We're giving it a really good test today with this candle. We'll see what happens by the end of the day. This might be a wick. This might be a strong close. If it closes well and then tomorrow doesn't come right back above, which is very important because that's just a fake out. So if tomorrow doesn't come right back above, we start to hold below, yeah, that's something that gives us opportunity. If we close back above, we're back at square one. This is more of a bullish outlook than a bearish one. Brent oil, the 1 minute. That is some hardcore stuff, my man. I think I haven't looked at oil on a 1 minute chart probably since you last requested me to do that. Because again, not the most liquid market, not probably the best. I mean, depends where you're trading. If you're trading like futures, then of course that's different. But if you're trading on a CFD broker, I do not advise 1 minute chart for oil. But we could take a look at the 1 minute. That looks horrendous. What are we doing here? It's not even trading properly. I think just out of of messiness, I'm going to scale to like a scale to a 5 minute. 1 minute looks too crazy for me. I'm sorry, that looks horrendous. Okay, let me just look at the higher time frame. Okay, so we're pulling back into this area, so things are getting interesting. From a 5 minute perspective, again, I highly recommend not to trade this, but okay, so we're coming back into some structure on the left here. Yeah, this looks horrendous. Okay, so if you're looking to trade this, well, of course, at the moment, we're very, very flat. We're coming to structure on our left. We have, of course, been in a strong uptrend, but we're starting to find some balance. We could look to roll over. In fact, I actually like that wick clearing the highs, especially if you see some momentum come back down. That could be a nice short and a pullback. Again, I'll keep it very short and sweet, back to value here. Reason being, momentum on the higher time frame is still very much to the upside. So you're basically shorting against that, which is not a good idea if you're looking to hold for a long time. 5 minute chart, a few candles in your favor, back to some support. That's your time to start scaling out that trade. If not, completely exiting. So we are at some nice areas of value here. We've found some balance here, failing to break highs. There is opportunity for price to push lower. But again, short and sweet, not looking to sit in that too long. That looks very, very risky to me. So yeah, I would highly avoid that. 1 minute looks insane. Again, maybe if you're trading on the futures, it looks a little bit cleaner. There's a bit more, action there, but yeah, I don't see much there. Replay, what's up? Wilfred, what's up? Hope you're doing good. No worries, my man. Was a bit busy. No worries. Good to see you though. Good to see you. Hope everything is well. Replay took us on Euro Aussie 1.665. Nice. Where the price could go? Good question. Yeah, that's all trading is, asking good questions. Okay, where could price go? Where there is a clear level of support here. That's instantly the first area that pops into my mind. Now, it doesn't mean price is guaranteed to get there. It just means that's a logical place for price to get there. Why? Well, we're seeing inability for price to maintain highs. So you got wicks there, wicks there, wicks there, a lower high there. So buyers have been trying to continue price, but failing pretty much every time. And from a seller's perspective, I mean, sellers are not particularly amazing. Why? We're not really seeing price expand lower. We are sweeping lows, but still every time we do sweep a low, price reverts back up. So effectively, we've got a sideways range. Buyers are doing pretty well here. Sellers are doing pretty well there. No one's really winning. Sellers probably showing a bit more dominance because we get the lower highs in, which is favor to bearish bias. But no one's really doing much damage here until we start to break support and really expand lower. So because of that, I wouldn't expect to see a crazy move lower. There is opportunity for us to push low, but that would require a strong break of this and holding below, which is something we can't foresee until it happens. So in terms of where could price go, which logic actually makes sense, it would be a push down here. That's where targets would make sense, and that's where I would have my eyes on if I was short. I would probably have this as a secondary level, so I'll probably look to see if I can book most of my profit there and hold to here if I can see some signs that price is breaking through and holding below, because then I can see sellers actually starting to show a bit more force. If price does just break below and then breaks back above, well, we're just repeating everything what we've been doing here. Therefore, the probability lies in the big recovery, which will mean my profits disappear. The trade's over. So I don't want to see that if I'm looking to push here. But yeah, it looks like lower highs are doing pretty well. Push back into supply, performing. That support level makes a lot of sense. Anything further, you want to wait for more evidence to build to support a further target. That target you can make sense because price has been doing that pretty well recently. There's logic there. BTC cold, sure thing, we can take a look at as well. Okay, 1.76665, so that's probably around there somewhere. So yeah, really nice entry. I would say 1.75 pretty much. Yeah, 1.75, nice psychological level. For me, that's a strong traction. Wilfred, what's up? Yeah, market sometimes not playing ball. Again, the thing is, everyone has different interpretations of a pullback and an entry. Some people take the trade, some people don't. It fits some people's rules. If it doesn't fit some people's rules, the thing is, you stick to your methodology, you stick to your approach, because that is your guiding compass. Some people find entries, some people won't. Some people find entries, take a loss. Some people didn't find entries, so they don't take a loss. And of course, some people take entries and take a win, and the people who don't. But the important thing is not necessarily if you caught the move or not, is did you follow your plan? Did a trade actually present that fits the criteria? Did you execute that? If it didn't, then you're good. It doesn't even matter if the trade smash take profit. That's a whole different scenario. As long as you did what you planned to do, and if nothing necessarily formed, pat yourself on the back, because that shows discipline, restraint, which is exactly what you want to be focusing on. FX Bashi, what's up, my man? Just woke up. Had a late one last night, Bashi. No problem, replay. Happy to help. Yes, they looked interesting. How did they move? How market today did they move? Yeah, we're actually seeing a bit of movement, especially if you're looking at dollar. Dollar's down 0.3435. It's looking pretty bearish today. I mean, it's not anything crazy, but we are looking pretty bearish on the dollar. It looks like bears still in charge. Lower highs here still intact. Buyers not doing their job here. It's not looking good if you're long. It's not looking good if you're long on the dollar. That's all I can say. No problem, Wilfred. No problem, my man. Yeah, we all late one on a Tuesday. Is it Wednesday or Tuesday? Today's Tuesday. Late one on a Monday night. Yeah, exactly. That's how it works, Bashy, mate. They wait for you to be snoring. That's why, okay, he's asleep. Let's go. The market's shady movers. They wait for you to be away from the charts to not wake up early, and that's when they do their damage, like clockwork. Gold is golding right now. Very bullish price action. Broke out higher on, when was that? That was Sunday. Sunday going into Monday. Oh, this is the 12-hour chart, sorry. Monday. I was going to say Sunday's not a day of the market. What's going on? We broke out higher on Monday, and Tuesday still showing strength. That was a pretty strong close yesterday, I have to say. So what's the opportunity here with gold? Well, again, unless you're very intraday, you're buying quick dips on like a 5-50 minute chart, taking it back to highs, the next opportunity is going to have to wait for another pullback. As simple as that. No need to overcomplicate things. The market is in a bullish regime. Market's trending well. Well, where's the next area of value? Back at support, back where other buyers are sitting, back where price found value. Areas like this, areas like this. Here is very clean, fast, impulsive price action. You're not going to find much value here, especially from a higher time frame perspective. So if you do start to look bearish, there is room for us to pull back deeper before continuing. Of course, does the market have to pull back? Not necessarily. Buys still look pretty comfortable. We could still very much break out again and keep pushing. Nothing says we have to have a pullback right now. And I think we've just tapped into 4,500. Not quite. Or have we? No, not quite. We just missed it, which is a huge psychological level, to be honest. So that is a big draw on price and an area which maybe could induce a pullback. A lot of players do place orders at round numbers, 0.5. So 4K, between 4K and 5K, 4,500 is a very significant price. It's the midpoint. We could see profit taking here potentially. That could then induce a pullback. Again, this is all just conspiracy thinking. We might smash through this area. Would I look to short from 4,500? No. I would just keep an eye to see what we do, how we react. The one thing I can say about bull cycles, especially for markets like gold and like Bitcoin, we don't have to pull back because buyers are very comfortable just jumping into the market and keeping price high. Pullbacks only happen when people start saying, okay, yeah, we pushed up a little bit too far here. Big players haven't followed that along. Weak hands keep buying, and then we see price correct itself back towards value. If big players are still happy to keep prices high with their positioning, then the market can still keep pushing. The thing about bull cycles, they're exponential. They're out of control. Big moves in the market. Can't use the same logic in a bull cycle as to when price is consolidating or neutral on a bear cycle. So you can't be so aggressive tops because you'll be fighting a losing battle there. Yeah, gold is moving crazy. Silver's crazy too. Silver blew this level out the water, out the mud, whatever I was going to say there. And it's flying. This looks like a very minor correction now. This was a pretty big move for silver. I think this was the biggest move probably since this sell-off here that we had in April. So yeah, that's a considerable move, but it looks tiny now. And that just shows you how bullish silver's been. So my congratulations to silver. Silver's actually looking phenomenal. Enjoyed the gold flying, entered by 43.88. Of course, you would enjoy that. Congratulations, LFTJ. Replay, I was waiting for a pullback on Aussie dollar, but USD is very weak. Yeah, that's the main theme right now. I'm looking at pound USD. I'm looking at dollar CAD. We'll see what price does. Again, the thing with FX markets, pullbacks look unlikely until they happen. They're not expansive. They don't trend like indices or when gold and crypto go through their bull cycles. So pullbacks are often. You don't have to. They happen more often than not. So you can always be patient. Normally there is a pullback coming which you can trade. If there isn't, of course there isn't. But yeah, DXY looking pretty bearish. Still room to the downside for DXY, which is the key thing. It's not necessarily okay, we're looking bearish, so sell. Well, where we're trading, that's the key question. Is there room for price to keep trading into? Absolutely. Buyers failed here. This is where buyers are showing force. We could see an attraction for price to move there. Hence, there's room, which means dollar CAD can still keep falling. Is there room for this market? There is. Is there room for pound? There is. Back to resistance. Is there room for euro? Yeah, back to resistance there. Probably not as generous as other markets. If we break through consolidation here, yeah, there is room. If I go to a weekly chart, I think the next big level is kind of this region up here. There's nothing really much stopping Aussie making that move. So there is room for all of these markets. It's difference between being very bullish here versus being bullish here. That's a different story. All right, take care, Bashi. Have a good one, man. Good to see gold's flying is due to Venezuela geopolitical tension from U.S. oil blockade. Yeah, I mean the thing is, gold's flying for a number of reasons. Of course, this is the latest thing to add fuel to the fire, and there'll probably be more fuel to the fire elsewhere being added as well. Again, gold is just good to buy in uncertainty when times are a little bit politically tense, you could say, for whatever reason. It could be tension in Venezuela, it could be war in the Middle East, or war anywhere. Well, it could be war anywhere, which will cause gold to rise. So really the thing is with gold, just looking for uncertainty and tension on a geopolitical sense, and that tends to be enough for gold to start surging. Ronnie, what's up? Long time. Hope you're doing good. It has been a long time. Your name's different, so I'm probably saying um, different because it says Ronnie, but I definitely I know you as another name, which is what I'm trying to say because names have changed. But yeah, it's been a long time. Hope you've been doing well. Good to see you back on the streams. At the moment, just kind of winding down. That's it, Manny. Of course, Manny. What's up, my man? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. It has been a long time because the names changed. So I can't. That happened like overnight. So I just forgot what everyone's name was. But yeah, I hope you've been well. Hope you've been busy on the markets. Well, I know you had other things going on as well. So of course, other things can come into play. But yeah, we are coming into a Christmas period, coming to the New Year's. So it's a time to kind of reflect, see what happened with the markets, recap the year, forecast the next. That's really what I'll be doing probably over the next week. Seeing what we did well, what we did poorly, what we could do better, what to expect for at least the first kind of month or two for 2026. So I can have like a bias going to the market and have things to invalidate that bias, of course. But yeah, a lot of interesting moves happen in the market. I definitely do think there's opportunity. I appreciate it. Been watching the replays. Always appreciate content. Thank you, my man. I appreciate that. Thank you. And also, if you guys are appreciating the content as well, find it useful, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. That does really help out. I do really appreciate that. Hit the bell as well if you don't want to miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But I am grateful for everyone who has shown some love, dropped a like. I do really appreciate that. So shout out to all of you guys for doing that. And if you haven't liked it, what are you waiting for? Anyway, so like I said, I think there's a lot of opportunity on USD. So that's kind of where my focus will be. Yen, I like because we still do have a roaring trend for a lot of them. And I think either way is opportunity. If the trend starts to reverse, I think there's opportunity on the way back down. It should be fairly aggressive because the yen pairs have surged to the upside very, very rapidly. So if it does reverse, it should fall not just as rapidly, but it should be a pretty clean move. And of course, if the roaring up trend still stays intact, then of course we still can keep buying the dips and the more higher prices. So I see opportunities in the yen because conditions are clear. I see opportunity in the dollar because conditions are clear too. And of course, you can say the same about gold and silver. Yeah, clear bullish cycles at the moment. You can keep looking to buy dips there. Crosses is where things get a little bit more interesting. Some look better than others. Some are a little bit out of balance. Some I kind of want to wait for a lot more information before I do anything and not jump the gun because that's the worst thing to do. What's up, Mercy? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. And again, I think that's one thing a lot of people miss out on is the patience side of things, because waiting for more information is actually a type of analysis. People think that the information you have for a trade is everything the chart tells you, which is true, but you can always wait for more information by waiting for more candlestick to print, waiting for more time to print, and then you get a more clearer picture of what price is going to do. The only thing that will make something clearer, a chart clearer, a trade clearer, is to wait a bit more. I don't mean that just keep waiting for the sake of waiting. If a trade doesn't feel high probable, doesn't make sense, you don't have confidence with the trade, you kind of just trade it because you feel like it's the move that's going to happen next. Well, you probably don't have the necessary information to be confident about that move in the first place and to And to have that necessary information means to wait for more candles to print, is to wait for more information. So waiting is actually a type of analysis. You're waiting for the more information to come to add that to your game, to add that to your decision making. A lot of people just look at the chart like pound NZD right now and think that, okay, this is all the information I have. I've got to do something with that. You don't have to do anything with that. This is all the information you have, but it might not be useful. If it's not useful, wait for more price action. Then maybe a nice opportunity presents in a week's time. Who knows? But waiting is definitely essential. Replay, waiting for some videos on discipline psychology in this holiday. Okay, absolutely. In fact, the video that I'm filming for tomorrow, actually, it's a video about. Let me go and get the title. Actually, the biggest lie in trading is price is telling you something, which is kind of what I'm hinting at there. It's a video which dive deep into psychology. It dives deep into what you're actually utilizing information, and also discipline as well. Because a lot of people, like I said, look at a chart. This is the information you see. Therefore, you must make a decision on that information. The disciplines to say, okay, this is the information I've got. Is this information worthwhile? Is this actually telling me something critical? If it's not, the discipline is to say, okay, I'm going to wait for the information. And absolutely, I'll be discussing discipline, psychology, mentality, mindset, and just the inherited nature of what price action is all about and what it tells you in that video. So definitely look forward to that. I'll be posting that tomorrow. And of course, I'll be doing more videos on psychology, price, mentality, patience. Generally, just the good habits of what makes a good trader, and importantly, the habits of what makes a bad trader. Because fundamentally, it's the opposite, but it's good to know both sides of the coin, because then you can, of course, don't be the bad trader by default. It makes you a good trader as well. So I'll be doing videos on that too. But absolutely, replay that definitely will be coming out very, very soon. And of course, if anyone has any other recommendations, let me know too. I'll be more than happy to make videos on that. But yeah, I'll be doing more videos that kind of allow people in the community to be more independent and think for themselves. Because the biggest problem in the Forex space is that people just look at influencers, content creators, and use them as pillars for their trading, which is good, but very bad at the same time, especially if you're using multiple, and especially if you just completely rely upon them. Because trading, especially if you're a discretionary trader, is something that you do off your own merits. You look at a chart, you think about a chart, you come up to a conclusion about a chart, you take the trade. So I'll be doing a lot more videos to encourage independent thinking and independent thinking correctly as well. So a lot more of that topic to come through as well. Dollar Seed Chef and of course Rwanda vlog. Okay, yeah, we could do a Rwanda vlog as well. I actually did a Rwanda vlog in 2022. I think that was my first vlog. Might have been, or maybe I did one before that. But yeah, I could definitely do a part 2 to that. Absolutely. Dollar Seed Chef, we can take a look at LFTJ. Absolutely, my man. Rex, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Hope everything is doing good with you. Of course, any chart recommendations, feel free to slap it in the chat, and I'll be happy to take a look. Okay, so Dollar CHF is a very interesting market. I say this because, of course, predominantly we have a downtrend in the market. Where's the next meaningful area of value? Well, actually kind of trading at it, because this is the monthly chart. And if I draw a line of the bodies, you can see we're actually trading at the body. The wicks represent inability to trade down here. So technically this, of course, is the all-time low, but this is the all-time low which price accepted, which means we actually closed there and sustained selling pressure. Of course, it eventually did reverse pretty quickly, but we actually managed to get there. If price closes below this, that is price accepting new prices, which means we're showing more sellers' intent. Increase the probability that we push towards that wick. Doesn't guarantee it, because we could still dip below, recover, and push up, but we are gaining ground. So in terms of opportunities, you have to be extremely careful that you're not just directly selling into that support. You can also see that illustrated very well for all these wicks on the weekly chart. And in fact, I can concentrate at this low here. You can see price is struggling quite a lot to sustain below this point. We've got the original support level here. Sellers could hold price here until they couldn't. We kept tapping into that, and you've just seen a billion wicks into this level. And now, again, this week's price action, we're seeing another push down. Now, is this going to result in another wick? Again, we don't know until price does close. This could be a legit breakout. But we have to be careful about where we're breaking towards. It's not just the case, okay, we're breaking out, therefore expect price to continue to expand. We're breaking out pretty much into a brick wall. So we're going to need price to really push away to really show that intent. And then I'll be comfortable to say, okay, sellers are really gaining ground here. I'm happy to look for pullbacks and more downside. Most of the time, price action just rebounds in FX. Of course, eventually we'll have this breakout. Maybe today's the day or this week's the week. But more often than not, it's not. So I'm always going to be very skeptical, and I'm always going to wait for real kind of strength to come into the market. This one bearish candle, which hasn't even closed yet, is not really worthy information for me to take in just yet, because like I said, it could easily be a wick. So yeah, dollar CHF looking very bearish. We'll probably like to push back into support here. There's not a lot of room to trade. Would I be looking for pullbacks to keep shorting? No, not prime real estate for that. Is this a place to buy? Actually, yeah. If price does leave a nice wick like we've done previous days, it has resulted in a lot of buying pressure coming to the market. As you can see, nice recoveries. It actually makes a lot of sense to be looking for some buys, because effectively you're just playing the range. So we'll come into the low of the range. Price can do one or two things, either break out or respect it. Hopefully in the next couple of days, we'll find out what the answer is to that. If it is a legit breakout, or are we respecting? So dollar CHF, the only real opportunity is looking to buy here for a reversion back to its mean. Any other thing, unless we get a confirmed breakout, is probably not the best trade to take. Okay, we can take a look at gold. Pepe, no problem. Thanks for your efforts. No problem. LFTJ from Jan now December, still pushing. Very much appreciated. I'm happy to help, my man. Replay, appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate you guys tuning in as well. I do really appreciate that too. But I'm glad you guys finding the work useful. I'm very appreciative of that. And of course, drop a like. Does really help out too. But yeah, we can wrap up with gold, which, like I said, extremely bullish. Price climbing higher. Again, as someone who's looking to swing on the 4-8 hour chart, I want price to pull back into value, and that's the only place where there is value. Up here, price hasn't spent enough time to me to say that, okay, we're actually developing here. Price can still expand higher. We can potentially retrace. There's no certainty right now, apart from everything is very, very bullish. So if you're looking for very quick short-term opportunities, like 15-minute chart, this could be a nice trade back into meaningful support. That could be a nice trade back into resistance, but that's about it. Well, not necessarily it, because the market is bullish. You don't necessarily want to take your profits here completely. You want to probably take maybe half and leave the rest of the trail, because we're in this bull cycle. We could absolutely fly. But this is your opportunity from a short-term perspective. Buying the dips back into meaningful structure, trading the left, because you don't know how far price can move. If you're looking for a more meaningful pullback, then like I said, the structure still sits a little bit lower. Still have to be a bit more patient there, around 43.50. So yeah, gold looks good. Keep buying. No signs of failure yet. No signs of price about to roll over. Buy still in control. Of course, I'm keeping a close eye on this big psychological level at 4,500. I know that's just an area where we could see a lot of orders being placed. So that's an area which we could react. Therefore, keep an eye. But at the moment, buy still in control, onwards and upwards until that's proven wrong. But anyway, guys, we have approached the end of the stream. I really do appreciate you guys tuning into it. Pepe, appreciate it. Subscribe and like. Keep going. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. Again, I've got some interesting plans for 2026, so do look out for that. But again, the main theme of this channel is to help traders become independent traders here as well. not necessarily just to keep giving you guys information and keep giving you, what price is going to do next, because it's very, very futile. The real asset is becoming the trader yourself and asking yourself the right questions when you look at the market. And that's really what I want to position the channel for, allowing traders to direct them to ask the right questions when they're analyzing a chart. And therefore, if you ask yourself the right questions, you'll take better trades and you will avoid taking the wrong trades too. So do look forward to that. Like I said, a lot more content as well. Any recommendation, any topics you want to see me discuss, put it in the chat. I'll be happy to get into it. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for tuning into the video. If you did find it useful, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. I'll be live again tomorrow, same time as always, 10 a.m. UK time. I hope to see you all there. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.